been reported by The Athletic that DeWanna Bonner was courted by the Minnesota Lynx and actually chose the Indiana Fever over them.
The WNBA free agency period just gave us one of the most intense chess matches in recent memory. A high-stakes game of strategy, ambition, and unexpected twists. Teams across the league maneuvered their rosters like grandmasters, but one move, in particular, had the entire basketball world buzzing. For months, the Minnesota Lynx believed they had found their missing championship piece. Their sights were set on none other than DeWanna Bonner. With Cheryl Reeve at the helm, the Lynx front office meticulously crafted their approach, dreaming of title celebrations, mapping out playoff dominance, and even considering an unexpected power move, trading for Bonner's fiancée, Alyssa Thomas. But as we've learned time and time again, WNBA free agency is never that simple.
This isn't somebody being swayed by hype. This is somebody who's been around the block and knows the deal. Obviously also knows the coach. So other factors that were mentioned there could be Stephanie White. Other factors that were mentioned there could be the, again, the attention and the attendance and all the fan base, all the things that can come up, whatever other reasons Bonner has stated publicly since she went to the Fever, right? She outlined some of the reasons for that move.
Every WNBA free agency has its fair share of surprises, but this year, this was something else entirely. For months, the Minnesota Lynx had a vision of championships, of banners hanging from the rafters, of reclaiming their spot at the top of the league. And at the center of that vision, DeWanna Bonner. Cheryl Reeve and her front office spent countless hours crafting the perfect strategy. They crunched numbers, made calls, and worked every possible angle to bring Bonner to Minnesota. They believed she was the missing piece, the final addition to push them over the edge. They were even willing to take it a step further, exploring the idea of trading for Bonner's fiancée, Alyssa Thomas, to create an unstoppable duo. The pieces were falling into place. Everything was aligning. Then boom! Out of nowhere, Bonner drops a bombshell. She wasn't heading to Minnesota. She wasn't following the plan that so many thought was inevitable. Instead, she made a move that changed everything. She was joining Caitlin Clark in Indiana. For Reeve and the Lynx, it wasn't just a setback. It was a complete blindsiding. Overnight, their carefully built blueprint crumbled to pieces. Months of work, of negotiation, of calculated roster planning, all gone in an instant. But here's the thing, this wasn't just a last-minute decision. The seeds of this move had been planted long before anyone realized it. And now, it's time to break down exactly how it happened, what it means for the league, and why this could shift the balance of power in the WNBA for years to come. Intro. Sometimes, the biggest moves in sports aren't surprises at all. The clues are there, hidden in plain sight. But when you're so focused on the prize, it's easy to miss the warning signs. And that's exactly what happened to the Minnesota Lynx. What seemed like a dream scenario, a championship-caliber team securing the final piece to their puzzle, turned into one of the most shocking free agency twists in recent WNBA history. Today, we're breaking down the bombshell move that has the entire league talking. To truly understand just how massive this shift is, we have to rewind. DeWanna Bonner, a seasoned veteran, a two-time WNBA champion, and one of the most sought-after free agents on the market. At 37 years old, logic suggested she would make one final push for a title, choosing a team with an established winning culture and a clear path to a championship. Enter the Minnesota Lynx, a storied franchise with multiple championships, a history of dominance, and one of the greatest basketball minds at the helm, legendary coach Cheryl Reeve. On paper, it made perfect sense. The Lynx had the pedigree, the infrastructure, and the hunger to contend. So how did everything fall apart? How did Bonner slip through their fingers? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of the WNBA? Let's break it all down.
So to hear a vet like DeWanna Bonner say that she wants to win now, she knows more than we do. She's the one talking to the front office, to the president, to Amber Cox. And so there's a lot of hope and inspiration for the aspirations of what the Indiana Fever wanted.
For months, it seemed like a done deal. Insiders across the league whispered the same thing. DeWanna Bonner was heading to Minnesota. The Lynx had built their entire free agency strategy around her, meticulously crafting the perfect pitch. Immediate championship contention, a stacked roster featuring Napheesa Collier and Kayla McBride, and the chance to form a dominant Big Three capable of taking over the league. They weren't just hopeful, they were certain. The front office had already begun making roster moves in anticipation of Bonner's arrival, adjusting pieces around what they believed would be their new star. One league source even revealed that Minnesota had been planning this for months, convinced that Bonner was the missing piece to their next title run. They had envisioned championship parades, banner-raising ceremonies, and a return to WNBA dominance. And they weren't the only ones playing the game. The Phoenix Mercury, Bonner's former team, believed they had their own leverage. In a bold move, they had already executed a trade to acquire Alyssa Thomas, Bonner's fiancée. It was a strategic play, an emotional hook. Surely, Bonner would want to join her partner and build something special together in Phoenix. The Mercury were so confident that they were willing to reshape their entire roster to accommodate this power couple. It all made sense. It was all falling into place. But behind the scenes, DeWanna Bonner was playing an entirely different game. While Minnesota banked on championship pedigree and Phoenix leaned into personal ties, another team was quietly making their move. The Indiana Fever didn't have the banners or the emotional pull, but they had something neither Minnesota nor Phoenix could offer: history in the making. Because in Indiana, Bonner wouldn't just be joining a team. She would be stepping onto the court alongside Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying rookie prospect women's basketball has seen in years. She would be part of something bigger, something groundbreaking. And when the dust settled, the basketball world was left in shock. How did Minnesota misread the signs? How did Phoenix's calculated risk backfire? And what does Bonner's decision mean for the balance of power in the WNBA? Let's break it all down.
If it were me, and I got to choose between playing with a great player like Napheesa Collier and a great player like Caitlin Clark, I would be thinking about brand recognition, because when she does decide to retire, if you are playing next to somebody with the motion, the media spotlight that Caitlin Clark has, that just ups your brand recognition.
The first clue emerged during last season's WNBA All-Star Weekend when observant fans noticed Caitlin Clark and DeWanna Bonner engaged in deep conversation. At the time, no one connected the dots, but later, photos surfaced showing the two engrossed in discussion, suggesting this partnership had been in the works long before free agency officially began. When All-Star Game pictures of Clark and Bonner chopping it up started circulating online, one insider speculated that this move had been brewing for some time. Throughout the free agency process, Bonner remained silent, allowing Minnesota and Phoenix to believe they were frontrunners while Indiana quietly built its case behind closed doors. The Fever's approach starkly contrasted with that of the Minnesota Lynx, who made their pursuit of Bonner extremely public. Indiana, on the other hand, operated with surgical precision. When the announcement finally came, it sent shockwaves through the league. Minnesota was completely blindsided. League sources reported that Cheryl Reeve was furious upon hearing the news. The Lynx had spent months preparing for Bonner's arrival, and suddenly, their entire off-season plan was in ruins. In her statement, Bonner didn't emphasize joining a championship contender. Instead, she focused on Indiana's potential to grow the game. This wasn't just about winning immediately. It was about building something revolutionary alongside the most talked-about rookie in WNBA history. One league analyst noted, "For Minnesota, the rejection hit particularly hard. They believed they had done everything right. They had the championship pedigree, a respected coach, and a talented roster ready to contend. On paper, they were the perfect landing spot for a veteran seeking one last title before retirement. The drama intensified when reports surfaced about Minnesota's aggressive pursuit. They had explored trading for Alyssa Thomas to sweeten the deal, essentially offering to reunite the couple as teammates. The Lynx also explored trading for Thomas and signing her fiancée, DeWanna Bonner, one report revealed. That's the basketball equivalent of buying someone a house before the first anniversary. Risky, desperate, and ultimately pointless. These moves showcased just how committed Minnesota was to landing Bonner. But when their plan collapsed, they had no backup. By the time the dust settled, most top free agents had already signed elsewhere, leaving the Lynx scrambling. But why Indiana? Why would a 37-year-old veteran choose a rebuilding team over established contenders? The answer lies in the Caitlin Clark effect. Clark's arrival in the WNBA wasn't just newsworthy. It was transformative. Television ratings skyrocketed, arenas sold out, and merchandise flew off the shelves. The rookie brought unprecedented attention to the league, drawing new fans and generating excitement that veterans like Bonner had never experienced before. However, Clark's rookie season wasn't without challenges. Beyond the normal adjustment period, she faced a level of physicality many found excessive. Officiating became a major talking point, with game footage revealing a troubling pattern. Clark absorbed hard contact with no whistles, while often being called for questionable offensive fouls. One analyst pointed out. The story around Clark's rookie season was all about adjusting to physicality, but that's an oversimplification. Statistics supported these concerns. Despite her high usage rate and frequent drives to the basket, Clark averaged just 3.7 free throw attempts per game, far fewer than players with similar styles. More alarming, she was the recipient of nearly 20% of all flagrant fouls called during the season. One infamous incident saw Dijonai Carrington poke Clark in the eye with no call, sparking outrage when slow-motion replays showed clear contact. When the face of your league is getting 20% of all flagrant fouls, that's not just a player issue. That's a commissioner-level issue, a league insider stated. Despite these challenges, Clark showed resilience, adapting her game and proving her status as the #1 draft pick. But it became evident she needed more veteran support. While Aaliyah Boston provided a strong interior presence, Indiana lacked experienced perimeter players who could take the pressure off Clark. This is where Bonner fits perfectly. With 14 seasons of WNBA experience, she brings exactly what Indiana needs. A battle-tested veteran who can score at all three levels, defend multiple positions, and provide leadership in crucial moments. Her championship experience with Phoenix gives her instant credibility with younger players. But Bonner also saw something deeper in Clark's rise. The sold-out arenas, national TV coverage, and surge in popularity weren't just temporary. They signaled a new era for women's basketball. By joining the Fever, Bonner positioned herself at the center of this revolution. Rather than chasing one more title, she chose to help build something even bigger. A new WNBA powerhouse centered around its most marketable star. For Cheryl Reeve and the Lynx, this rejection represents more than just losing a key player. It marks a shift in power within the WNBA. Traditionally, players gravitated toward established winners with proven coaches. Now, Clark's presence has changed the calculus. The Indiana Fever, once an afterthought, suddenly find themselves an attractive destination for free agents. Had Bonner prioritized an immediate championship, Minnesota would have been the obvious choice. The Lynx were already title contenders. Adding Bonner could have created a super team. But her decision blended competition with business awareness. Playing alongside Clark means more national TV games, more sold-out crowds, and increased visibility for her brand as she nears retirement. Minnesota's miscalculation was assuming veterans at Bonner's stage prioritize winning above all else. What they didn't recognize was that Clark's presence created an entirely new value proposition: the chance to be part of history. Meanwhile, Clark has been navigating her own challenges. In a recent podcast, she reflected on the mental side of transitioning to the pros. It was just a crazy year, Clark said. You go all the way to the national championship, then jump straight into the WNBA. One of my coaches told me, "Your rookie year is always hard because everything is new city, new team, new coaches. It's a lot." Unlike NBA rookies, who have months between their final college game and professional debut, Clark had mere weeks. "I never really ended my college chapter," she admitted. "It was just like, boom, you're in the WNBA." Beyond logistics, Clark struggled with leadership. Despite her star power, she experienced the same rookie uncertainties as anyone else. "In my position, people are looking to you to be something," she explained. "But it's hard. You're trying to get your feet wet while also not trying to do too much." Fortunately, she had strong veterans around her. "I feel grateful for that," Clark acknowledged. This existing veteran support likely factored into Indiana's pitch to Bonner, showing that the Fever already had a strong team culture in place. For Minnesota, the setback forces a pivot. Reeve is a proven coach who will find creative ways to keep the Lynx competitive. Phoenix, however, now faces an awkward situation. They acquired Alyssa Thomas partly to attract Bonner, only to lose Bonner anyway. Now, they must build around a player who was brought in under false pretenses. Meanwhile, the Fever have accelerated their rebuild. What was once a multi-year project is now a reality. With Clark's stardom, Boston's development, and Bonner's leadership, Indiana has real playoff aspirations. More importantly, they've become a free agent destination, something unimaginable just a year ago. The Clark effect has rewritten the rules of WNBA free agency. Traditional powerhouses can no longer assume their success alone will attract talent. The chance to be part of something historic may outweigh immediate title hopes. Bonner's decision may be remembered as the moment the WNBA's power dynamics permanently shifted. Now, as the season approaches, all eyes are on Indiana to see if her gamble pays off. One thing is certain: women's basketball has entered a new era, and Bonner is right in the middle of it.